Week 3 of the fantasy football season. Here's the top 12 kickers I'm ranking this week. Number 1, Brandon Aubrey of the Dallas Cowboys. So this guy, he's just amazing what he could do with Aubrey. Last week, Cowboys, they had confidence in him to trot him out there from 64 yards to tie the ball game up in the fourth quarter, and he did it versus the New York Giants. This week, obviously, different atmosphere, not playing indoors at Dallas, going to Soldier Field where it could be windy at times. But Brandon Aubrey, he could kick it anywhere. This guy's got some boot where I think he could kick a 70-yarder pretty consistently if it was up to Dallas trotting him out there. So like I said, Aubrey last season the best kicker in fantasy football, and once again this year off to a roaring start with some great kicks. Number 2, Chris Boswell of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Boswell, one of the more accurate kickers of all time. He's 50-plus yards pretty easily. He's been hitting, and a lot of kickers we've seen now from last year and into this season, 50-plus yards hasn't been a problem. So Boswell, he's got a big boot. He's on an offense that stalls out a lot over the last couple seasons, and it's continued a little bit this year with Pittsburgh. And this is a matchup at a Patriot defense for the most part that's bend but don't break. So I think Boswell once again goes out there and has a good game. Number 3, Cameron Dicker of the Los Angeles Chargers. Dicker, one of the more accurate kickers of all time in NFL history, where he's hit 95 out of 101 field goals in his career. And this week it's in a matchup versus the Denver Broncos. That's a bend but don't break type of unit. So this week, division matchup, indoor game, which is always a plus for a kicker. And like you said, Cameron Dicker is pretty much automatic, and this is a high-powered Los Angeles Charger offense. Number 4, Tyler Loop of the Baltimore Ravens. So Loop taking the spot of Justin Tucker, who was a great kicker for a decade over there in Baltimore. And Loop, he could kick from long distance. They run a high-powered offense, once again, obviously, is Baltimore. And anytime you're on a high-powered offense or an offense that stalls out a lot, opportunities are going to be there. So this week in a potential high-scoring game, like we saw week 1, when this Baltimore Raven team versus the Bills, now with the Lions coming to town on Monday night, I think Tyler Loop's going to go out there and get a few opportunities, obviously a few extra points, and he's already a kicker that's one of the best in fantasy football. Number 5, Matt Prater of the Buffalo Bills. So Matt Prater, you signed last second to the Bills before, with Tyler Bass going down right before the week 1 game. He was the hero in that one with a walk-off field goal, and last week he had a double-digit fantasy game with 12 fantasy points at the New York Jets. And now here, Thursday Night Football, Miami coming to town. Their defense can't stop anyone. He's on a high-powered offense, obviously, and the opportunities are going to be there for Prater. So this week, I think he goes out there, has another solid performance. Number 6, Spencer Schrader of the Indianapolis Colts. So Schrader, he's been perfect over the last season. Last year, had a cup of coffee with Kansas City, filling in for Harrison Butker. He played well. And now indoors in Indianapolis the first 2 weeks of the season, including a game-winning field goal right down the middle. Even though if there wasn't a leverage call, he would have missed one to win the ball game. But Schrader's got a big boot. He's very accurate. And this Colt team, their offense stalls out at times. So this week at Tennessee, in a division matchup where it could be a grinded-out type of game, coming down to both field goal kickers, I think Schrader, like I said, quickly moving up the rankings, is a good option this week once again, even on the road. Number 7, Ka'im Fairbairn of the Houston Texans. So Fairbairn, he's automatic from 50-plus. This week, a division matchup at the Jacksonville Jaguars, where they're vulnerable to giving up points. And Fairbairn, like I said, the last couple seasons, one of the more accurate kickers and long-distance kickers in the league. And this Houston Texan offense, they've had trouble over the last couple of years scoring touchdowns. They stall out a lot. And this week, once again, I think they'll stall out a few times, and Fairbairn will trot out there for a couple long field goals. Number 8, Jake Elliott of the Philadelphia Eagles. On a high-powered offense, Super Bowl winning champ, Philadelphia Eagles. And Jake Elliott's definitely improved his 50-plus yard field goal over the last couple seasons. Last week, he nailed one from 50-plus in that ball game at Arrowhead. And this week, a matchup versus the Rams, where I think both teams are going to put points on the board in this one. You pencil in Jake Elliott once again, finishing as a top 12 option. Number 9, Jake Bates of the Detroit Lions. So Bates, he's a better kicker indoors at home in Detroit than he is on the road. But this week, they know they got to put points on the board at the Baltimore Ravens, this Detroit Lion team. So Bates, he's got a good boot, 50-plus yards. He's pretty accurate from as well. And anytime you're on an offense loaded like this Lion team, obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs, Montgomery, Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, points are going to be had. And this week at Baltimore, once again, I think he's going to put up a good game. Number 10, Harrison Butker of the Kansas City Chiefs. So Butker numbers have dropped off a little bit. This Chief offense not as potent or high-powered as it was 3-4 years ago. They're still putting points on the board, but Booker, he was a top kicker every week, it seemed like, in 2022, 2023. But the last couple seasons with injuries and this offense taking a step back, he's moving down the rankings a little bit. But this week, a matchup in New York Giants, they give up a lot of points. We saw Aubrey last week score 21 fantasy points versus Giant DST, and I think Booker, he's going to get opportunity out there in a decent offense, not high-powered, like I said, like it used to be. But this week, if it's any time for this offense to break out, it's at the Giants. Number 11, Joey Sly of the Tennessee Titans. So this Titan team, they can't score a touchdown pretty much at all. And Joey Sly right now, he's got a big boot in the first couple weeks of the season. 13 or more fantasy points 2 weeks in a row. So we know he's always been a 50-plus yard kicker, is Joey Sly, going back to his Carolina days. I know he's bounced around the league, but he has a job, obviously, every season with a new team because he could kick from 50-plus yards, and he's pretty accurate and consistent at it. And this week in a matchup versus Indianapolis, that's a bend but don't break defense more times than not. He's a good start. In the 12th and final kicker on rankings, Brandon McManus of the Green Bay Packers. So this week a matchup at Cleveland, McManus is going to get opportunities. He's in a pretty high-powered offense like the Packers. And the Packers at times, they stall out as well, where their receiving room just is too young and inconsistent at times. So McManus, he's got a big boot going back, obviously, to his Denver Bronco days, now with Green Bay over the last season and change. And this week at Cleveland, the Browns at times, they do make stops, led by Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward, and they play better at home as this Brown defense than they do on the road. So I think some opportunities will be there for McManus. So that's the top 12 kickers I'm ranking for week 3 of the fantasy football season.